So let's look at Litecoin. First off, read this disclaimer carefully. And do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. The thing is that, the market is definitively very volatile, and now we suddenly have a big rally here in the cryptos. So yeah, this is just going to be a very messy market going forward. There's never been a better time to design a market neutral portfolio. It is nuts to be pure bearish now, and it's also nuts to be pure bullish. You absolutely must have balance. Here is Litecoin / US dollar, and it is, 17.7% here from the 52-week low, but we are, in a minus 74% bear market. Here is the website for litecoin.org, the cryptocurrency for payments, based on blockchain technology. So I do like this focus, payments, because the big issue in the entire cryptocurrency landscape is that there's been so much focus on the price, let the price go up, 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 to the moon. That is antithetical to it becoming a currency. Currencies work because they have stable price action. And yeah, that is the essence of money. Money is all about the network of transactions. The price is very secondary in importance. Litecoin is a peer-to-peer internet currency that enables instant, near zero cost payments to anyone in the world. This should definitively be zero. So yeah, near zero is of course decent, but it must, the brains in the community must get this down to zero. Alternatively, you could have something that you have with regular fiat money banks, where you pay a yearly fee to have a debit card. I think in Norway I pay like $25 per year to have a debit card from the bank. The thing is that, that is kind of a transaction fee of $25 per year to do infinite transactions, but at least it means that I don't have to worry about transaction costs. So there should definitively be new models for this. Probably something like that, where you pay like a yearly or a monthly fee, and if you pay that, then you can have infinite transactions, or at least a reasonably high number of transactions. Obviously, it would make sense to have some differences between private transaction and business. Okay, anyway, here is the chart for Litecoin. The first thing that just screams at me from the chart here is time cycles. Litecoin definitively has a thing for time cycles, okay? These are clean, rise, decline, rise, decline, rise, decline. The time cycle suggests that the rising phase is supposed to actually begin about now. So this is rather interesting. So let's quickly look here at these other indicators to see whether there's like a pattern in terms of the low of the previous time cycles. So here we have this time cycle here. It did come as we had an extreme low here on the weekly RSI. But the other low, it came a bit early. That was also RSI. Well, it wasn't extreme RSI though. We did have a higher low here on the RSI when we got that key low on price. Interesting. Yeah, okay. So let's continue here with the weekly data point chart. So we do have a moving average in play at the moment. It's one of the important moving averages for sure, and that is this red 200-week moving average. You see that it is clearly, very obviously, a level that the market participants are using to trade. Here it worked as a short level. Recently, it has been support. The problem with the current setup is that we have tested that support level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times without, getting a sustained rally. It could still work as a support level, but the problem is that when this happens, the bulls are going to commit less money, right? Because when you are here and you see support, then you could put on a bit of a bigger position. Here, okay. But here you start to become a bit worried here as well. So yeah, we do have moving average support. but it is weaker than we would like it to be. Okay, so let's just quickly measure. If you were to use that as a stop level, how wide would the stop be? 10-ish%. That is it's a bit wide. This is why I prefer to buy support at the moving average instead of waiting until you have corroborating data, because some people are like against buying a moving average. But is this a better alternative to do like this? Because then you would have to do like a 11% stop, in order to have, a clearly defined stop level. To use like a prior low as a stop level, that of course works as well, but the problem is that there's far less money that went into developing that low vis-a-vis the moving average low. And the less money that goes into creating a signal, the more frivolous the signal is. So yeah. So whenever you find like a resistance level or a support level, find a level that it took a lot of money to create. The more money it takes to create a level, the more relevant it is for a wider number of market participants. Okay, so here are the daily data points. Okay, so what I really dislike here is that we had this very nice support level here. So here, okay, that was a bit tiny. Do it like this. So here you have horizontal support. Nice support here, and also here. So this was a level that could work, but the problem is that we have sort of gotten a bit below it here. So this price action over here, okay, like this price action was really unfortunate. Okay. So let's look here at, yeah, we have looked a bit at the weekly data points in terms of these overbought, oversold indicators. Here are the daily data points. Yeah, I mean, nothing really special happening here. We are kind of in the neutral zone across the indicators. So we are definitely in like a very key battleground here for the bulls and, the bears. So I think that the line in the sand is that we do have 200 EMA support. That is bullish. In terms of the longer term radar, we have huge time cycles, and we have a bull. So currently there's a bullish. The primary phase we expect now around the corner is that bullish rising phase. So yeah. In terms of the technicals here, it's such a messy situation because we had this horizontal support that we lost. That is obviously a point to the bears. Then again, we do have a 200-week moving average support, but we have tested it many times now without getting a significant rally. So it's sort of like like a hammer that's hitting that support level. So we desperately need a rally now, because if we start hitting it again, then the bears are going to get more assertive and then put on a bigger position. And when the positions from the bears get too big, then the selling pressure is so significant that the buying volume is not going to be able to swallow it up, and we smash through that support level. So I will give it this one to the bulls, but I can't give it any more than 2. It's just the bulls, they really have so much to prove. So here we have the seasonality for Litecoin / the US dollar. So looking here to the right, we do see that the seasonality is actually bearish, heading here towards the 22nd of March. Then it strengthens towards 11th of April. To the left here, we do see that over the last 5 years, March is a very weak month, average almost -8% pullback. April is just super strong though. Over the last 10 years, March is one of the weakest months for Litecoin / US dollar, but April and May are very, very strong. So the seasonality here is definitively not beneficial to the bulls, so I must give it a -6 here. It simply is a bit too bearish for the month that is most relevant to us, which is obviously going to be March, on the 9th of March. April is, however, strong, but we can't trade April in the early part of March. So yeah, I don't believe there are fundamentals in terms of cryptos, at least fundamentals that are relevant for future price action. The cryptocurrency market is very, very dominated by these other things. there are fundamentals out there, but there's no point in analyzing fundamentals if they will not have a significant effect on the price itself. The only reason why I look at technicals, seasonality, fundamentals, and relative performance, that is because these things have an effect on the price. Okay, so here we have the correlation between Litecoin and the S&P 500, 73%. With Bitcoin, we have 90%. And with the dollar index, we do have, so here are some news. Gold record seen capped at $2,500 through Q2. We are definitively seeing a strong rally in gold. A bit of a digression here, but yes, so the bullish thesis in gold, the cup and handle pattern that I've talked about for a long time now, it is playing itself out. I do, however, think that due to the whole situation with Russia, it is prudent to have also physical gold. Yeah, because a massive rally in gold would be a big downvote for the US dollar, and I could see a situation where the GLD and the gold miners are delisted under the cover that, let's say, that the Russians are manipulating, the gold market, to hurt the dollar. I could see something like that playing itself out, and in that situation, we could also see some restrictions on people's ability to buy physical gold, because yes, there is a very strong link between gold and the US dollar, and the massive rally in gold would be a massive downward for the US dollar. There's also some talk about China and Russia possibly getting together to create some kind of currency that is linked to gold. Yeah, so just be aware that there could be massive restrictions on gold purchases in the future, simply due to geopolitics. That has happened many times in the past throughout history. Yeah. Anyway, here are daily data points. We do see that there's a 51% correlation with the SPY, 94 with Bitcoin, and 95 with Coinbase. So this is Coinbase, so very strongly correlated. Minus 54 with the dollar index. But clearly it is what happens to Bitcoin is going to have a very significant effect on what happens with Litecoin. Bitcoin. So like this. Here we have the Bitcoin index. So let's do a quick technical analysis of Bitcoin. The problem with Bitcoin is that from a technical perspective, it's sort of a bit in no man's land here on the weeklies. It's in the middle ground on the RSI and the PPOs. We have resistance levels, we have support levels. Looking at the daily data points. I mean, ever since this low back here, we do have this overall series of higher-ish highs and higher-ish lows. The problem here, as I think you can see, is this blue 100-day moving average, which is creating resistance. So if we were to go up to that level and we see something like this again, then it could be a reason to put on some short positions. Okay, so let's now look at Litecoin like that. So here I am looking at Litecoin against the Bitcoin. We do see that Litecoin has been in a downtrend here, meaning underperforming Bitcoin ever since 2018. This is a very significant downtrend. We did see that before. We did have periods where Litecoin massively outperformed, like here and here and here. But ever since those times, we've had these small times. But yeah, really just gotten weaker against Bitcoin. Yeah, and it's now made a new all-time low in this underperformance. So that is bearish. So yeah, a big bonus here for the Bitcoin maximalists. So here you have the seasonality of the pair. So we do see that over the last 5 years in green, there usually is a situation of Bitcoin, well, Litecoin strengthening here against Bitcoin towards the early of April. But looking at at blue, which shows us the last 7 years, then we do see that the outperformance of Litecoin usually starts here towards the 22nd of March and only lasts a few days, basically. Okay, so now let's look at the relationship here between Bitcoin. So let's do it like this, and against, yeah, maybe we should do, yeah, let's do the dollar index. So let's just use the dollar index futures, like that. Yeah, you could certainly make the case that we do have some horizontal support around here. So let me just roughly draw that in. So it seems to be some kind of diagonal support line around there. That is interesting. Let's just look at the SPY instead, because this was not really like that exciting. Yeah, we do have a very similar technical pattern here on the SPY as well. But the interesting here with the SPY is that currently for this week, we do see that we are breaking out above this level from back here. And that is interesting. Let's look a bit here at, the seasonality for the pair. Yeah, so looking at the problem is that the seasonality is a bit flattish. It's usually a bit back and forth here heading towards early April. But after that is where we usually see Bitcoin underperform the S&P 500. Okay. So, Litecoin has a strong tendency to underperform Bitcoin, and that has been a very systematic trend. It's made a new all-time low in that relationship, so that is not good. That's not good at all. Looking at Bitcoin against the dollar and the S&P 500, there's something a bit interesting happening, which is a bit bullish. So yeah, I think that overall for Litecoin here in terms of relative performance, yeah, I think I have to give Litecoin a -4 here, because the key thing that we look at Litecoin against is of course Bitcoin, and the relationship there was just really not good for Litecoin. So we end up with a score of -2.7. So definitively the data here is more bearish than bullish. We do, however, have a bullish line in the sand here, and that is the 200 weekly moving average support. It is a support level that has been hit many times now, and given the other data like the seasonality and relative performance, there is an elevated risk that the support level will fail. Whatever you do, of course, you want to be market neutral and use stops. I think it is possible to trade this support level bullishly, but it is that you just have to be aware that it is in a bearish context. But this is just how the market sometimes is. Sometimes you have a great, setup where you have support, good seasonality, and good other technicals and relative performance. Other times it's more noisy. We currently have a more noisy market environment where nothing is clean, and that can be a bit frustrating. But sometimes that is the only market you are offered, and you can only, of course, trade the market that you are presented with.